Well, hello everyone, this is Professor Foto back again. Today we're doing a review on the Milvus 85mm F1.4 Nikon mount manual focus only lens. This entire Milvus line is over-engineered for your benefit. This has got some great components, it's all heavy duty, probably will last you a lifetime. Extremely long focusing manual lenses, which means ultimate controllability in terms of the fine-tuning the focus point when you're working with the lens itself. If you remember these lenses, you see that I showed them to you in the coverage that we did of the CP Plus show just last week, which you can see that movie online at YouTube. This is a real tour de force, 11 pieces of glass in 9 groups, super high quality, super rare in terms of its ability to perform. It gets all the way down to 2.13 feet. It is just a really, really nice piece of kit to work with. It has the unique proprietary Zeiss D-click system, which eliminates traditional clicked focus stops. This is great for videographers because then you can change f-stops on the fly, which means no sound, so you can adjust as you're shooting if need be. So let's see what this thing can do. And first thing we're going to take a look at is we're going to take a look at the lens wide open at f1.4. This is a head that was in a local museum. Very rare piece, and you can see just from looking at it the quality of the resolution at f1.4. This is almost too hard to believe, especially when you realize it's at the closest focusing distance. We found some very interesting subjects down the hall, which was there was a big origami display, and we focused on the lines that were holding the origami birds in air, and you can see how perfectly crystal clear these are and razor sharp. Again, all handheld at f1.4. This is another interesting example. Here we're looking at some very rare Arabic artwork and writing. This is shot at f1.4 handheld, and the quality of the resolution on this is almost not to be believed because it's just so crispy sharp all the way down the line. It really renders textures amazingly well, which we see in this stone head, which was shot at f1.4. Most lenses claim to be good at full aperture. Very few lenses are. The 85 that I'm using here, the Zeiss Milvus, really exceeded my expectations, and I'm pretty tough to impress, and I've used quite a bit of stuff over the years. Zeiss, Leica, Schneider, pick somebody, all the very best glass. When you take a look at the depth of field chart, you'll realize how, in theory, shallow the depth of field is on an 85mm at f1.4, especially at its maximum close focus distance, which is what these were done. So take a look at this chart and think about it because it is truly impressive. Next up, we're going to look at a couple shots that were taken from the street. These were taken at basically infinity. They were taken at mid-levels, which is f4. These are tiles on the top of a building, actually a church. And this is what it looked like in its normal. What you're going to see next is a 100% crop from an APS-C Nikon D5500. The quality of the imagery here is almost too good to believe. It's just so incredibly sharp, clear, and no retouching required. If we take a look at the MFT charts here, one of the things that's really important to notice is the fact that when you're using an APS-C camera, the sensor doesn't only go out to about the 15 level on the chart, which means you don't get the fall off that you would normally get with a full frame image, which is really, really important and one of the benefits of an APS-C camera. Okay, let's shift gears now. Let's look at the mid 2.8 to f4 to f5.6 on this camera. Here we are looking at an image that's shot handheld, up close, maximum distance in terms of how close the lens will focus, and you'll notice how sensitively and how delicately all the values in this picture are being handled. This is something that's done by the lens. This is not about the sensor here. It's delivery of the image to the sensor. All of these things here, there's not a lot of depth of field, but yet the point is it's very difficult for you to tell when you look at this where the focus point begins, where the focus point ends. And remember, this lens is doing better in many cases than most macro lenses that have been on the market or have come to the market are doing. Here's a crop of the far left-hand image of the center of a flower. This is definitely better than a lot of macro lenses would do. And once again, this is handheld. This is basically f4. This is a very, very shallow depth of field, but it's so accurate because of the long throw of the focus. I think this camera's on the verge, or this lens, the 85, could be the new bokeh master for the 85mm portrait level. If we look at these Japanese wooden dolls that we're seeing here now, These were all spaced and focused terribly, terribly close. Once again, this is f2.8. f2.8. And look at how accurately all of the details are. If you look at even small things that are in scratches, creases, eyelashes, small tiny details, the wood grain itself. Here we are at f2.8, and here's a lens at its worst of all performance criteria, which is up close, doing an incredible job. The other thing is the fact that there is almost no vignetting with this lens. Whether you're at f1.4, f2, f2.8, there is almost no vignetting at all. I know it shows it in the charts, but I am hard pressed to find it. And a great example of showing you how there is virtually no vignetting in this lens is these teacups that were shot in f1.4 indoors, handheld. The ISO is a little high, but can you see any vignetting? I find it very, very hard to see any vignetting. And when you take a look at the close-up 100% crop of the individual cup in the center, pretty amazing stuff when you realize that this is up against its maximum focus level. The ability of this lens to resolve detail is amazing. Here's a major iron bell that has all kinds of very interesting scribing. You've got wooden detailing around it. Once again, this is shot at f4. Now, when we look at a 100% crop of the bell itself, look at the Chinese characters that are on the bell. You're going to see that there's an amazing amount of detail there that's almost unmatched by anything I've ever seen. This lens not only works great up close, but it does phenomenally good at infinity. Here's a photo from downtown. The sharpness on this is almost unrivaled for anything that I've seen recently, and I've been shooting with a lot of different lenses for a lot of years. Let's go back and take a look at the depth of field chart here. We can see that even at f1.4, once you get out to 15 meters, you have a pretty nice depth of field, 13.7 to 16.6. So there's a lot of things that you can do with this lens wide open that most lenses I know of, I've never seen can be done like that. Take a look at what it was shot indoors. This is f2. This was shot indoors at the same museum. I found some other stuff. This is f2. If we look at this, we realize that it's just exactly what we need. It gives us that unique feel. But here's f2 outside at a bronze statue. This is f2. Once again, the lens is almost completely wide open. The quality and the rendering is just amazing. The textures are wonderful, and the color treatment is fabulous. One of the things that Zeiss lenses do amazingly well is they resolve and give you realistic volume. They realistically give you great mass, a feeling for mass. They record this very, very fine, subtle details, and they do it in such a layered level. Once again, here we are, we're looking at shooting something at f2.8, the surface of the water. Amazing resolution, fabulous colors. Same setting, outdoors. This is a marble lion. Once again, you get the mass, you get the feeling of solidity. It gives you the three-dimensional rendering that a lot of lenses don't give you. Here's some stainless steel rails that make an excellent example of the same type of issue. When you look at these, you get a feeling of volume, solidity, the way that renders the color, amazing. This is another picture that I like, which is just the wind chimes. Very subtle, very thin, very frail. And here we are again with my friends the koi, wonderful subject, and you get the feeling that you could just stick your hand right into the water. This 85mm f1.4 has such an amazing range. This picture here was shot at f4. Once again, you would think, wow, how can I get this? It's just selectively picking the right point. You want to look at some great detailing. This is shot actually at f5.6. It's of a major building that's interesting. Here we are back again with our friends the origami, which illustrates this is probably going to be the new king of bokeh for the 85 to 90mm lens. I don't care who's making it. Also, you'll remember that Zeiss has been producing some phenomenal lenses for us over the last 10 to 15 years for the M-series cameras as well. So I highly suggest if you're interested, you take a look at any one of these Milvus lenses that's in the line right now and look at the fact that they can really do something. They can enhance your creative ability and make you produce pictures, but take time, think, be careful, don't be in a hurry. This is Professor Foto saying thank you. We hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.